It all started innocently enough. Like, aggressively innocently. There'd been a few packages swiped from porches around the neighborhood. Nothing major, but annoying. Plus, someone had mysteriously acquired a long, deep scratch down the side of my car while it was parked right in my driveway. Coincidence? Maybe. Annoying enough to justify a $100 smart security camera? Absolutely. So I bought one. A neat little Wi-Fi number. I mounted it discreetly above my garage door, angled it perfectly to cover my porch steps, my driveway, and the pathetic patch of lawn I call my front yard. Peace of mind in a tiny plastic dome. I checked the feed on my phone. Yep, crystal clear view of my welcome mat. Reading "Go Away." The aforementioned oil stain on the driveway, and the sad remains of a rose bush, the aphids had claimed. Thrilling, secure, uncontroversial. Or so I thought. I hadn't even had the thing installed for 24 hours before she appeared. Karen, my next-door neighbor. Karen, who seemed to operate under the assumption that everyone else on the block existed purely to inconvenience her personally. Karen, whose default expression was a mixture of suspicion and indigestion. I was outside, attempting to coax some life back into the sad rosebush with a watering can, when she marched across her unnaturally green lawn towards me. Her eyes, like tiny radar dishes, immediately locked onto the small black dome above my garage. "Benjamin!" Her voice could probably curdle milk at 50 paces. "What?" She pointed a trembling finger. "Is that thing?" I sighed internally. Here we go. "Oh, hi, Karen," I said, trying to sound breezy. "That? Just a little security camera. You know, with the packages going missing and my car getting keyed. Thought it was a good idea." Her eyes narrowed into slits. "Don't you lie to me, Benjamin Henderson. It's pointed right at my house," she accused, her voice rising. "Right into my living room window. I saw it. You're spying on me." I blinked. Spying on her? What would I even spy on? Her collection of porcelain thimbles? Her rigorous schedule of complaining to the HOA? "Whoa, Karen, hang on," I said, holding up my hands. "That's physically impossible. Look where it's mounted. Look where your living room window is. Unless you've installed some kind of complex periscope system I don't know about, it cannot see into your house. It covers my porch and my driveway." I pulled out my phone. "Here, I'll show you the live feed." She recoiled as if I'd offered her a vial of plague. "I don't need to see your feed," she spat. "I know what I saw, that little black eye staring right at me. It's an invasion of my privacy. It's harassment. You take it down now, or I'm calling the police, and the HOA, and my cousin Vinny, who's a paralegal." She didn't wait for a response, just spun around and stormed back into her house, slamming the door hard enough to rattle my windows. I stood there, watering can dangling, staring at the aggressively innocent security camera. Spying on her? The camera's field of view barely covered my own recycling bin. This was going to be fun. Karen, true to her word, unleashed the hounds of bureaucracy. First came the police. A young officer, looking profoundly bored, showed up about an hour later. "Sir," he sighed, gesturing vaguely towards my garage. "We received a complaint. Neighbor feels she's being recorded inside her private residence by your camera." "Officer," I said, trying my best to project reasonable homeowner just trying to deter porch pirates. "I completely understand the concern, but as you can see," I pointed, "the camera is mounted here, angled downwards, covering my property entrance. Her house is over there. It's physically impossible for it to see inside her windows from this position." I pulled out my phone again. "Here's the live feed right now." He peered at the screen. My driveway, my lawn, the sidewalk in front of my house. "Yeah," he said, nodding slowly. "Okay." He turned towards Karen, who was hovering on her porch like a vulture waiting for roadkill. "Ma'am," he called out, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 pointless neighbor disputes. "His camera placement appears legal. It's covering his own property. There's no reasonable expectation of privacy on the public sidewalk or street." He tipped his hat to me, muttered something about paperwork, and drove away, leaving Karen practically vibrating with impotent rage. Next came the HOA. A guy named Dave, armed with a clipboard and a laminated copy of the CC&Rs, appeared the following day. He looked even less enthusiastic than the cop. "Mr. Henderson," Dave began, squinting up at the camera, "regarding bylaw 9.7, subsection C concerning exterior modifications. While security cameras are generally permitted, we must ensure they don't infringe upon a neighbor's reasonable expectation of privacy." "They don't," I interrupted politely, but firmly. "As confirmed by Officer Miller yesterday, the camera exclusively covers my own property and the public sidewalk directly in front of it. It does not and cannot see into any neighbor's private dwelling. Are there specific HOA regulations regarding camera angles that only capture one's own property and public thoroughfares?" Dave flipped through his laminated pages, looking increasingly uncomfortable. "Well," he mumbled, "no, not explicitly worded as such, but the spirit of the rules encourages neighborly consideration and avoiding actions that may cause undue distress." "Undue distress?" I repeated. "Is undue distress defined anywhere? Because my neighbor seems unduly distressed by the mere existence of a legally placed camera pointed at my own driveway." Dave sighed, clearly wanting to be anywhere else. "Look, just try to be considerate, okay?" He made a vague note on his clipboard and retreated, defeated by the lack of specific anti-driveway camera bylaws. So I was cleared. Legally, and according to the HOA's own vague rules, my camera was fine. Did that stop Karen? Oh, you sweet, naive reader. Of course it didn't. If anything, it made her worse. Her paranoia kicked into high gear. It was like living next door to a spy in a bad Cold War movie. She started closing her blinds with dramatic flair, even on cloudy days. She developed this bizarre zigzagging pattern for walking across her own lawn, presumably to avoid the camera's unblinking gaze, which, again, wasn't pointed at her lawn. She'd emerge from her house, pause, glare directly at the camera for a solid 10 seconds, maybe shake her fist, then scurry to her car. It was performative. "Okay, this is getting ridiculous," I muttered to myself, watching her execute a series of commando rolls to retrieve a dropped coupon from her driveway. Okay, maybe a slight exaggeration, but not by much. She knows it can't see her inside. The cops told her. Dave from the HOA told her, but she's acting like she's the star of her own Truman Show, trapped under the relentless gaze of Big Brother Ben. And then the thought hit me. A terrible, beautiful, spite-fueled thought. She's so obsessed with being watched. She acts like this camera is broadcasting her every move. What if one was? Not illegally, of course. Not pointed into her house. That would be creepy and wrong, and highly illegal. But what about the public space, the street, the sidewalk, the very stage upon which she performed her daily dramas of perceived surveillance? Recording in public is legal. What about live streaming it? The justification clicked into place almost immediately. Neighborhood safety, community vigilance, deterring crime. Transparency. It was practically my civic duty. Inspired, naturally, by Karen's own deeply felt concerns about security in our quiet, suburban enclave. "Thanks for the idea, Karen," I smirked, heading to my computer. Operation Livestream was a go. Research was key. I needed a camera with a decent wide-angle lens, good low-light performance, and the ability to stream reliably 24/7. I needed a platform YouTube Live seemed easiest. and I needed the perfect placement, not outside where it could be accused of pointing somewhere specific. Inside, looking out my front window, aimed squarely at the public street, capturing a wide panorama, the sidewalk on both sides, the road itself passing cars, dog walkers, joggers, kids on bikes, and inevitably, anyone entering or exiting the houses directly opposite the camera's viewpoint, namely mine and Karen's. Crucially, the angle would be too high and wide to see into anyone's windows, just the public domain. I found a suitable camera, mounted it discreetly inside the window frame, and spent an evening tinkering with streaming software, network settings, and bitrate optimization. I designed a simple overlay, Elmwood Park Neighborhood Watch, Cam, Live, in a friendly, non-threatening font. "Okay, Chloe," I explained over video call, showing her the setup. "It's a 24/7 live stream of the street. Public view only, for safety. Anyone can watch." Chloe stared at me, her expression hovering somewhere between horror and amusement. "Ben, let me get this straight, because Karen complained about your completely legal doorbell camera." "Garage camera," I corrected. Garage camera. You have now installed another camera inside your window to live stream the public street 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?" "It's not because of her," I insisted, trying desperately to sound sincere. "It's inspired by the clear need for enhanced neighborhood vigilance, which her concerns inadvertently highlighted. It covers the public domain, totally legal, civic-minded even." "Uh-huh," Chloe said skeptically. "And does this public domain just happen to include a perfect view of Karen's front door and the path she takes to her mailbox?" "An unavoidable consequence of capturing the relevant public thoroughfare," I replied smoothly. "Purely coincidental sidewalk geography." Chloe just shook her head. "You are completely unhinged. This is going to end spectacularly badly. Promise me you'll send me the link when Karen finds out." "Deal," I grinned. The next morning I took a deep breath and hit Go Live. I checked the stream on my laptop. There it was. A slightly boring, wide-angle view of Maple Street. A car drove past. A squirrel ran up a tree. Utterly mundane. Perfect. Now for the piece de résistance. I logged into the neighborhood Facebook group. "Hi, neighbors," I typed, channeling my inner concerned citizen. Inspired by recent discussions about safety and ensuring we all feel secure, I've set up a 24/7 neighborhood watch cam, providing a live view of the public street on our block, Maple between Oak and Elm. Hopefully this provides some peace of mind and helps deter any potential issues. Feel free to check it out anytime. Let's keep Elmwood Park safe together. Link to YouTube livestream. I hit post, then I made popcorn. It took less than an hour. I was monitoring my stream, 0 viewers, naturally, while pretending to work. I saw Karen step out onto her porch to water her suspiciously perfect geraniums. She potted around for a bit, pointedly ignoring my house. Then I saw her pull out her phone. Her thumb scrolled. She frowned, tapped something. Her eyes widened, her head snapped up, scanning wildly. It took her a few seconds, but then her gaze locked onto my front window, where the small lens of the new camera was clearly visible behind the glass. The watering can dropped from her hand, splashing water onto the pristine porch. Her face went through a rapid series of colors. Pale red, settling on a deep, alarming shade of purple. She didn't scream. She just pointed one trembling finger directly at my window, then turned and marched back inside, slamming the door with enough force to potentially register on the Richter scale. My phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "She knows. Neighbor Carol just posted, 'What is this?' On your link. This is amazing." Less than 5 minutes later, the pounding started on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I opened it calmly, adopting my best, mildly confused expression, Karen stood there, practically vibrating with rage, her phone held aloft like she was presenting evidence at The Hague. "Benjamin Henderson!" she shrieked, shoving the phone towards my face. It showed the live feed of my street, with her tiny, furious figure visible on her own porch in the background. "Are you insane? A live stream? You put my house on the internet for the whole world to see?" "Karen?" I feigned confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Oh," recognition dawned. "You mean the neighborhood watch cam? Yes, isn't it great? Real peace of mind." "Don't you neighborhood watch cam me," she screeched. "It's pointed right at me. Everyone can see me, getting my mail, taking out my trash, watering my geraniums. It's illegal. It's stalking. It's digital peep-toming." "Whoa, Karen, deep breaths?" I said, holding up my hands. "Firstly, as you can clearly see on your phone there, the camera points at the public street and sidewalk, not at your house specifically. There is no expectation of privacy in public view. The police confirmed that, remember? Secondly, it's not focused on you. It captures a wide public area for general safety and crime deterrence, which you yourself seemed extremely concerned about just last week. I decided to lean into it. Actually, Karen, I really should thank you. Your passionate advocacy for neighborhood security truly inspired me to take concrete action and provide this valuable resource for the entire community. It promotes transparency, it deters crime, it provides accountability. It's practically my civic duty." I beamed at her, radiating false sincerity. Her jaw worked silently for a moment, processing the sheer audacity. "I'm calling my lawyer," she finally sputtered. "I'm calling the police again. I'm calling the news. I'm calling the FBI. You'll see. You haven't heard the last of this. Benjamin Henderson?" She spun around, nearly tripping over my perfectly placed welcome mat, and stormed back to her house. I calmly closed the door. A small, deeply satisfied smirk might have escaped. Round two. The police came again. Officer Miller looked even more tired this time. "Mr. Henderson," he sighed, rubbing his temples. "The live stream." Yes, officer," I said brightly. "The neighborhood watch cam. Isn't it a great initiative?" I explained the situation again. Public view, safety focus, link shared publicly, no specific targeting, legal placement inside my own window. He listened patiently. He looked at the stream on my phone. He looked out the window at the street. He looked resigned. "Technically, sir," he said slowly, "recording public spaces isn't illegal, and streaming it, well, it's murky, but as long as you're not specifically targeting her private property or using it to harass her." He trailed off. "Look, can't you just aim it slightly differently? Maybe zoom in on that interesting patch of pavement over there?" "But, officer," I protested mildly, "that would defeat the purpose of comprehensive neighborhood safety monitoring." He just sighed again. "Try not to harass your neighbor, sir." He left. The HOA sent another letter, this one practically dripping with passive aggression and vague threats about actions potentially detrimental to community harmony and misuse of technology. Stan Mirov apparently tried to argue the camera constituted an unapproved interior modification visible from the exterior, but since it was just sitting on my windowsill, that didn't fly either. They were stuck. And Karen? Karen went into overdrive, living under the oppressive gaze of the neighborhood watch. Cam, which analytics showed rarely had more than 2 simultaneous viewers, usually me and Chloe, became her life's work. She started wearing disguises, floppy hats, sunglasses, scarves, just to get her mail. She bought enormous potted ferns and arranged them on her porch like a botanical barricade, attempting, and failing, to block the camera's view of her front door from the public sidewalk. She took to holding up large handwritten signs whenever she was outside. "This is harassment. Privacy now. Ben is a creep. My personal favorite was a simple but elegant, "Turn it off." It was performance art of the highest caliber, broadcast to an audience of almost nobody. And it was hilarious. The neighborhood Facebook group became a low-key battleground. Team Karen decried the creepy surveillance. Team Ben, mostly people who found Karen annoying anyway, posted sarcastic comments about needing popcorn or praised the excellent crime deterrent. Most people just seemed confused or vaguely uncomfortable. The stream itself was, objectively, incredibly boring. Cars passed. People walked dogs. Sometimes a cat would wander across the frame. Thrilling stuff. Viewership remained abysmal. I even started adding little on-screen graphics, like a days since last package theft counter, stuck at 0, and occasional weather updates, just to entertain myself. Then, one rainy Tuesday afternoon, the boring stream captured something not boring at all. A white van pulled up down the street. Someone hopped out, quickly and efficiently smashed the window of Mr. Henderson's parked car, grabbed a laptop bag from the passenger seat, and sped off. It all happened in less than 30 seconds. But the neighborhood watch. Cam caught it all. The van, the act itself, and, crucially, a clear shot of the license plate as it drove away. I saved the footage, called Mr. Henderson, and then called the police. Yes, Officer Miller again. The footage was clear enough to identify the van, and they actually caught the guy a few days later. Mr. Henderson got his empty laptop bag back, but he was incredibly grateful. He even posted a thank you note on the Facebook group, specifically mentioning the helpful neighborhood watch cam. Suddenly, my spite-driven livestream had actual, legitimate value. Karen was furious. Her narrative of creepy Ben spying on everyone took a significant hit when the camera actually helped catch a real criminal. The HOA complaints dried up. Stan Mirov stopped leaving passive-aggressive notes about window decorations. The stream stayed up. Viewership remained pathetic, but now it had a veneer of respectability. Karen still hated it, I'm sure. She still occasionally glared at my window or held up a defiant sign, but the fire seemed to have gone out of her protests. Maybe she realized raging against an audience of 3 people and a helpful crime-fighting tool made her look slightly ridiculous. Or maybe she just got tired. I still run the stream. It costs pennies in bandwidth, and honestly, I've kind of gotten used to having that boring street view open in a background tab. It's still called the Elmwood Park Neighborhood Watch Cam. Every so often, I check the analytics. Usually 0 viewers. But I know Karen knows it's there. And sometimes, just sometimes, when she walks out to get her mail, I swear I see her hesitate for just a fraction of a second, maybe smooth her hair before stepping into the frame. The unwilling star of the world's most boring, most passive-aggressive reality show. And honestly, that's victory enough for me.